In this podcast episode, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon breaks down the critical misconceptions many people have about building muscle and metabolic health. She highlights why muscle is the key organ system for longevity and disease prevention rather than focusing solely on fat loss and aesthetics. The conversation covers mindset shifts, resistance training, nutrition, metabolic syndrome, and practical strategies to optimize muscle health, with insights into female versus male muscle building, the dangers of being skinny fat, and the role of specific supplements. Dr. Lyon opens by addressing common mental barriers such as feeling too old, too busy, or incapable of prioritizing health. She emphasizes the need for discipline and discernment in recognizing relevant versus distracting thoughts. Taking consistent action despite fluctuating motivation is crucial, as motivation alone is unreliable. She advocates seeing commitment to muscle health as a fundamental responsibility rather than a luxury, reframing muscle building as an empowering choice for longevity and well-being. A major theme challenges society's decades-long obsession with fat loss and obesity as the root problem. Dr. Lyon argues that unhealthy skeletal muscle is actually a root cause driving metabolic diseases, including diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and Alzheimer's. She explains how muscle functions as a metabolic control center, critical for glucose and fatty acid metabolism, and how unhealthy muscle infiltrated with fat, similar to marbled meat, disrupts these processes. This insight shifts the narrative from losing fat to building and preserving healthy muscle, which naturally leads to fat loss as a byproduct. Dr. Lyon stresses that skeletal muscle must be recognized as a vital organ system, not just for strength and sport, but for systemic metabolic health. Unlike organs like the heart or thyroid, skeletal muscle is the only organ system under voluntary control, making it highly empowering. Maintaining muscle mass preserves metabolic flexibility and hormonal health, supporting longevity and neurological function. The strain of targeting obesity alone misses this crucial biology and is likened to the street lamp effect, focusing search efforts where it's easiest to see, fat, rather than where the problem truly lies, muscle health. Muscle mass naturally declines with age, especially after 35, due to anabolic resistance and decreased protein utilization. However, muscle can be built or preserved at any age with the right stimulus. Progressive resistance training is key and can involve body weight, bands, or weights. The emphasis is on providing sufficient stimulus rather than obsessing over heavy lifting or complex protocols. Beginners are reminded they have been spontaneously lifting weights their whole lives through everyday activities like carrying groceries and children. Consistency and intentionality are more important than intensity at first. In terms of training variables, muscle growth, hypertrophy, can be achieved through varying rep ranges and resistances, so both high reps with light weights and low reps with heavy weights can be effective. The crucial marker is training to near technical failure with proper form. Muscle mass functions as a suitcase for glucose storage, and increased muscle mass improves metabolic control. Building strength enhances confidence and mental resilience, and the bidirectional relationship between body and mind means muscle health supports cognitive and emotional well-being. Dr. Lyon dispels the myth that women will get bulky by lifting weights, noting men naturally have more muscle mass, but relative muscle gain potential is similar between genders. Women's hesitancy around strength training is largely cultural, rooted in outdated aesthetics and norms rather than physiology. Both men and women benefit equally from resistance training, and maintaining type 2 muscle fibers, responsible for power and strength, is especially important as we age. Simple self-assessment tools like hand grip dynamometers or counting push-ups provide measurable baselines for strength and progression. Beginners are encouraged to pick one movement, push-ups being an accessible example, and track improvement over days and weeks. Small wins build confidence, internal motivation, and set the stage for long-term adherence, reinforcing control over one's physical health. Sarcopenic obesity, or skinny fat, is a growing epidemic characterized by low muscle mass combined with excess fat, particularly fat infiltration within muscle. Dr. Lyon explains that weight loss interventions like GLP-1 medications often lead to loss of both fat and muscle, leaving individuals smaller but metabolically compromised. This condition elevates risks for metabolic diseases and fractures due to weakened bone-muscle connections. She stresses the importance of purposeful resistance training and adequate protein to avoid trading obesity for sarcopenia. Protein intake is fundamental to muscle preservation and growth. Dr. Lyon recommends 35 to 55 grams of protein at the first meal after an overnight fast, which is a critical window for stimulating muscle protein synthesis, especially post 35 years of age. Protein acts like a natural appetite suppressant by stimulating gut hormones and helps regulate blood sugar. Carbohydrate intake should be limited at each meal, around 35 to 50 grams, to match metabolic capacity, particularly in sedentary individuals, to avoid deranged metabolism. She emphasizes that the total protein requirement is much higher than the minimum RDA, advocating for intakes nearing 1 gram per pound of target body weight for optimal health outcomes. While animal proteins generally have higher biological value and leucine content, well-designed plant-based diets can also support muscle health if total protein intake is sufficient. Amino acid diversity is crucial, and leucine is the key trigger for muscle building. Dr. Lyon highlights that the body turns over roughly 250 grams of protein daily, underscoring the importance of varied dietary sources to supply essential amino acids needed for muscle metabolism, gut health, and antioxidant functions. Sedentarism, defined as fewer than 3,000 steps per day, promotes fat infiltration of muscle and undermines gains. Inconsistency in mental framing that relies on fleeting motivation also sabotage progress. Dr. Lyon stresses the value of neutrality in mindset, avoiding highs of motivation and lows of discouragement, and cultivating commitment as a stable baseline for health behavior. Skipping meals sporadically is acceptable, but chaotic eating disrupts protein availability needed to protect muscle. Walking 10,000 steps supports endurance, type 1 muscle fibers, but doesn't sufficiently stimulate the power and strength, type 2 fibers needed to preserve muscle mass. Cardiovascular training complements but does not replace resistance training. High-intensity interval training, T, provides effective metabolic benefits, including improving insulin sensitivity, and can be a time-efficient option. Practices like yoga and Pilates also count as strength training when performed consistently, adding value through resistance and flexibility. Muscle health directly influences fertility, notably in polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. Fat infiltration within muscles, intermuscular adipose tissue, is a better indicator of metabolic dysfunction affecting fertility than just body fat percentage. Excessive training combined with energy deficit can cause hormonal disruptions such as hypothalamic amenorrhea in female athletes, but moderate resistance training supports reproductive health. Dr. Lyon recommends creatine, 3 to 5 grams daily, not only for muscle benefits, but also for cognitive function, as higher doses support brain health. Other important supplements include omega-3 fatty acids for brain and metabolic health, urolithin A, a gut-derived postbiotic, which enhances mitochondrial function, beta-hydroxybutyrate, a ketone body, with potential muscle-preserving and cognitive benefits, vitamin D for muscle strength and fall prevention, magnesium, and quality protein shakes when needed. Though protein-labeled foods like protein ice cream or chips are gaining popularity, Dr. Lyon cautions against relying on processed and highly marketed foods as primary protein sources. Whole foods, dairy, meat, fish, legumes offer superior amino acid profiles and bioavailability. Marketing budgets skew consumer perception, promoting processed protein-enriched products, while traditional whole foods cannot defame competitors. This distorts public understanding and perpetuates chasing novelty instead of focusing on scientifically validated, foundational nutrition. The conversation closes by highlighting the role of parents and environment in shaping lifelong muscle-centric habits. Children naturally emulate parents' physical activity. Consistent demonstration of strength training and wellness routines instills resilience and healthy behaviors early. Building forever strong humans is about more than individual workouts. It's about cultivating a culture of physical and mental robustness for generations.